All I'm saying is that this team's upside is immense, and that's why you do that deal 10 out of 10 times if you're the Brooklyn Nets, and why this is, in my opinion, a win for them. So now with Brooklyn, you have Kevin Durant, you have Kyrie Irving, you have James Harden. You've also lost, Jared Allen, who's been their best defensive player. You lost Karis LeVert, who's been very good for them. Granted, you're upgrading to Harden, but you lost some good pieces from that team. And with them, there's no guarantee that they win it all here. The upside for the Brooklyn Nets is greatest offense of all time. That's what the upside is. This could be the greatest offense ever, with those three level scorers who are creative geniuses on the ball, who can also play off ball when they want to. I mean, this could be, when I think about what the Nets could be if they're all clicking, they could be unstoppable. The question will be, how good can their defense become? What level can it reach? And we talked about this a little bit.
The other question is, who sacrifices?
Sacrificing has to happen. That has to happen on the offensive end.
Who's the Bosch?
Well, but part of sacrifice is also stepping up on the defensive end. We have seen Kyrie have moments throughout his career, particularly in the year Cleveland won the finals, where he locked in on defense. We have seen Kevin Durant and his prime, and maybe his peak when he was with Golden State, playing more of the five, playing some four next to Draymond, where he was defending everywhere on the court. James Harden, he's a good post defender, and when he's locked in, he can be a solid on-ball defender for you. He can be active in passing lanes when he's locked in. The Nets have a path to becoming a good defense. But what needs to happen is sacrifice on offense, like you're mentioning, in terms of touches, in terms of moving off ball and all that. But also sacrifice in the sense that you can invest that energy you might be saving on offense, and you got to put it into defense. Because for this team to be what it could be, and that's the favorites in the East heading into the playoffs, they got to show that ability by then. And there's no guarantees here. There's just not. The Kyrie variable cannot be understated, what they're going through right now. That's part of the reason why they felt such urgency to get a deal done for Harden, was because Harden is also Kyrie insurance here. He just is. In case Kyrie decides to flakes out or leaves or whatever, you still have Harden and Durant.
Who is the one that sacrifices the most? The Chris Bosh, the Kevin Love of the situation. It's fascinating because
is it more like who's the Ray Allen? And when I say that, I mean, with Boston's situation with KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. Ray Allen was the one who, quote unquote, sacrificed the most, but he still got a lot of shots. And I wonder who becomes the guy that's more of the off-ball presence. Part of me wonders if that could end up being Harden. I do wonder about that.
I mean, Kyrie wanted more, right? Like, it's fair to say he's been in a spot where he wanted more than his role. He wasn't happy playing with LeBron. We know that. We know he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy playing with LeBron, right? And then we know KD wasn't happy playing with the Warriors guys.
Yeah, for a number of different reasons. There's more than, yeah.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
And we know James Harden wasn't comfortable playing with four guys that stand around and watch him dribble. I have a very difficult time believing that this is going to be the basketball Zen situation when I have seen those guys being in others. Kyrie obviously wasn't happy playing with Tatum and Brown. I just don't why would he be okay with KD and Harden, but he's not okay with LeBron and Love, and he's not okay with Tatum and Brown, and he's not okay. Like, what do you want?
I mean, I think it's more complicated than that. I mean, like the KD thing is so much about also the way people were talking about him, whether his rings were legitimate. It was partially that. It was partially the friction just between him and Draymond, which wasn't a matter of touches. It was a matter of personalities clashing. When it comes to relationship with Steph, part of that was about being face of the franchise, which is, touching on what you're talking about with Brooklyn. But I think Kyrie and KD coming together was, a willingness to not worry about that he was going to a place to define what the Nets were going to be, rather than with Golden State, he went to a place that they were already defined. They already knew what they were. And that was Steph's team, Klay's team, Draymond's team. And then with Kyrie's Kyrie. It's really, Kyrie is Kyrie.
Do you think any of those three guys does not
capable.
think they are the best player in the NBA?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're
They all
capable of
do.
sacrificing. KD showed he could sacrifice at some points with Golden State before it went bad. Kyrie did adapt to playing with LeBron James. James Harden played with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and he was one of the best six men in the NBA. He played with different stars, and granted, it was different playing with Chris Paul, and it didn't work out. That was partially due to personality between those two guys. They did not get along. They did not click. They did not like each other. Part of that due to basketball, part of that just due to how they are as people.
Well, they also, but then it was his little league buddy, Russell Westbrook, after that. You know what I mean? We've been friends with forever.
With Russ wasn't happy there.
But he knew him, he played with him, and he wanted him.
But I think that was,
right?
yeah, for sure. And ultimately, I mean, Russ leaving was partially due to Harden also wanting to leave, and Harden wanting to leave they both wanted to leave.
They didn't want to play with each other anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yes. I don't think it's that they didn't like each other. They just wanted something different. But ultimately, I think these guys can sacrifice. I think they can. And a lot of that's going to have to come down to Kyrie, though. KD, I think, is going to be willing to. Harden, I think, is going to be willing to. Kyrie, we'll see what happens there. That's the major X factor here. First of all, he's going to get back. He just got fined for, breaking the health and safety protocols, $50,000, according to the NBA released a statement about that. So he's got to get back to the court. He's got to start, not breaking those protocols. He has to sacrifice on the court. There's a lot of questions here with the Brooklyn Nets. But the point is that their upside is off the charts, man, on the offensive end of the floor. And if those guys actually buy in and start trying on defense, I mean, it's going to be hard to say. It's going to be hard to say they won't be the favorites come playoff time.
That's what I don't. I don't buy the defense thing. I don't. I do not think there's a path for them to being good defensively. You have
DeAndre Jordan at center, and
no, if they still had Jared Allen, you know what I mean. At least you'd have a chance.
Would you have done the trade if you were Brooklyn? Yes, still.
No,
you wouldn't have, because you're not a big James Harden guy.
Nope.
So what would you have done? Just let Kyrie and KD, do their thing this year? And
why not?
I'm just saying.
Yes,
I'm just saying.
Yes, I mean, I would have tried to salvage the Kyrie thing. I got enough. I get it that it's like one of those things where you don't know what's going to happen with that. This is what you were trying to say. So it puts an impetus on, hey, let's go do this now, because hell, that way, even if Kyrie does flake on us completely, at least we still got James Harden, right? And because we can't have that go down I understand, right? I understand. I just think you might have compounded things, because what you're doing is you're saying, we can't waste another Durant year. Like he lost one to injury. He doesn't have that much time left on the contract. If Kyrie flakes on this, or he gets hurt, he's had an injury history. Like, at least now we've gone all in, right? Again, this is one of those, as I was saying, the hardest thing to do is to keep your star happy. And you're just rolling the dice that everybody's going to be happy. But that's their attempt to make KD happy, so that this is not a 2-year deal and that you can keep him. Right. Because otherwise, you know what I mean? He's going to look at that and go, shit, I already wasted 2 years. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, that's why they did the deal. So while I say I understand, I also think it is a tremendous risk. And I do not think that I am of the view that you still got to have role players on your team, right?
They don't have a poor supporting cast, though. Joe Harris is one of the better shooters in the league. Obviously,
he ain't ever going to touch the ball.
He's going to get a lot of open shots.
Timothy Lawa, Lou Cabarro. These guys aren't even going to touch the ball.
They have some good role players.
I am of the opinion that you have the guys that do the dirty work. You've got guys that carry an offensive load for you. And I think your offense was going to be fine if you got Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but you keep saying if you have Kyrie, and that's why I say this is Kyrie insurance. It's insurance for this season, but also, like you said, if KD was unhappy, if Kyrie was gone, or Kyrie and him didn't click anymore, and that suddenly maybe trading Kyrie's in the best interest of keeping Kevin Durant happy, now you have James Harden. And Kevin Durant can become a free agent after the 2021-22 season. So that means after next season, KD can become a free agent. That's coming up very soon, as can James Harden. But like keeping those the two guys together, it's partially about that as well. Having them also makes Kyrie, if it comes down to it, like I said, if it comes to it where a move has to be made, where you can feel better about losing him, whether it's like Stephen A. Smith said on First Take the other day, Kyrie should retire if he were to retire, or whether another team were to want to trade for him, which I'm not sure how many teams really would want to trade for Kyrie Irving at this point. Just the facts there. But all I'm saying is that having Harden is Kyrie insurance in so many more ways than just if he comes back this season.
Here is the reason I don't think it will work, okay? Because what you think is if you win and you win big and you got a shot at the title, that is basketball happiness, right? To me. Like we say, these guys want to win. Right? That's what they want to do. They want to win. Kevin Durant was in the winning situation, and it didn't make him content. James Harden was in the winning situation. You know, he could have said, hey, look how good we are at basketball. I'm willing to put aside my differences with Chris Paul, right, to make this thing work, because I mean, we're right there. We got a chance at winning the title with the team that we've got. Clearly, we're right there on the precipice. We got a chance. Kyrie Irving, he was in the NBA Finals when he just shut out and wasn't talking to the rest of the team. So to me, it's hard for me to believe that you can throw three guys that weren't happy winning. Like, what do you want? What do you want? You want to win championships? Like, you've all had chances to win championships. So when I am dealing with three guys like that, the idea that I could just throw them all together and then all of a sudden everybody's going to be happy with their situation, because they've been unhappy. If Karl Anthony Towns comes out and says, I am sick of this shit, I bust my ass all the time. He doesn't bust his ass, but let's just say, if I don't want to spend another 3 years losing. I spent 7 losing for the better part of 7 years, or whoever, right? Guys, and these are guys that weren't happy in winning situations. So how am I throwing all three of them together and expecting them to be happy? What's going to make them happy? Winning?
I mean, you can win while being unhappy.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
They all did.
It's the truth. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They all did.
Yeah, so you can win a championship or multiple championships while being a little bit unhappy.
Could you in a million...
It's about the talent level, Chris.
Could you in a million years, though, could you envision, just close your eyes for a minute, the picture of the three of them, like the three of them holding a trophy together? No, come on.
I mean, visualization, Chris, I can't get a clear image in my head, about that. But I can imagine the idea of them winning a championship. And like I said, I can see them having one of the most potent offenses we've ever seen. I can see these guys operating and playing together at a high level. To me, there's a chance that we see that. Will we for a fact? No. There's no guarantees in anything. That's the point here. All I'm saying is that this team's upside is immense, and that's why you do that deal 10 out of 10 times if you're the Brooklyn Nets, and why this is, in my opinion, a win for them. I know they gave up all those picks, and I know they're killing their future flexibility, but you got to maximize having Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and try to win a championship, even if it's only a 3-year window. If it's a 3-year window and you get one, it's worth it. Mm-hmm. It's worth it. It just is. Yeah. But it could also be way longer than a 3-year window, too. It just could be. And maybe at some point, one of those guys leaves and it becomes KD and Harden. Who really knows what the future brings? All I know is having these guys can work, and that's why the Nets did it. That's why they were right to do it, and why their upside now is significantly higher than it was last week at this time.